Hello, Aubrey. How's it going today?
I'm great, Lindsay. How are you?
Good. Excited to be here on All Ears English. What are we getting into today?
Well, I have a question for you. This is one of my favorite films, especially when I was younger, like in college. Have you ever seen the film Tombstone?
I actually don't think I've seen the whole film all the way through. It's a
I
Western,
love
right?
it. It is a Western. I
Nice.
watched it so many times with my family or my siblings. I can
Really?
quote so many lines from it, and it was very quotable. Val Kilmer was Doc Holliday,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he has so many great lines.
Oh, I should
I'm your
watch it.
Huckleberry is one of them. I'm your Huckleberry, which it's
Nice.
like really he's saying like I'm the person you need. And
Yep.
you'll hear sometimes some of these have sort of been adopted into English too, the
Yeah.
phrases from this film. So I highly recommend it. Everybody watch Tombstone.
Yeah. I think I should probably watch it to get some
Yes.
inside phrases that maybe
Yes.
are probably being used all the time. And I didn't know they were coming from that.
I'm
Yeah.
curious if you'll watch it, be like, wait,
Yeah.
I've heard people saying that. I didn't know it was from this film.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Mhm.
it's about the shootout at the OK Corral. This is very famous. It happened in Tombstone, Arizona, which is actually only about 2.5 miles, 2.5 hour
Miles.
drive south
Okay.
of Phoenix, where I live.
Okay.
So it's not that
Mhm.
far from here, but I've actually never been to Tombstone. I need to go. I need to take my
You
kids because
should.
it's
That'd be
like a
cool.
an old west town or kind of recreated town, sort of like
Right.
Jackson Hole. I've heard it's
Mhm.
fun. We'll have to go sometime.
Very cool. And so what how does this tie into the phrase we wanna talk about today, Aubrey?
Yeah, so this phrase, get out of Dodge, came up in a recent episode. Stay to the end and we'll share which one it was in case you missed it, because you can definitely listen to these out of order. But
Yeah.
we promise to follow up with the very interesting history of where this phrase comes from, and then also how we use it, because we do use it a lot. It's very common. You'll hear it, and then a few phrases that mean the same thing.
Yeah, this is so important to know because this is one of the phrases that most, native speakers of English, just in probably just in the US, I'm guessing, do use it and they on a gut level know what it means, but if you sit down and ask them where it comes from and more detailed what it actually means, I have a feeling they wouldn't really know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And even me, I've watched Tombstone so many times and I
Mhm.
still didn't know a lot of this history. So it was fun to dive in, learn
Yeah.
some of the history about Dodge City, and we're excited to share it with you guys today.
Yeah. So tell us what it means, Aubrey. I mean, don't leave us in the dark any longer.
Right. Okay. So we need to give credit to Tyler Guthrie in June 2023 wrote an article called Where the Phrase Get Out of Dodge Comes From. And he
Mhm.
did his research. It was fascinating, all of the information about Dodge City. So we're going to share some things from that article. This phrase means to leave quickly, get out of Dodge, right? To leave a place or a situation, usually
Okay.
that's like uncomfortable or unsafe.
Okay.
Let's give a few examples first. So,
Okay.
like for example, you might say, "This party's dead." If everyone's leaving, it's
Yeah.
not very fun. Let's get out of Dodge. It means like this
Okay.
isn't fun anymore. Let's go.
Got it. Or I need a fresh start in another city. It's time I got out of it's time I got out of Dodge. Got out of Dodge.
Right, and we often we don't say, "I got out of Dodge," or "We need to
Mhm.
get out of Dodge." We run those together and say, "Outa." I got to get out of Dodge.
I wonder if the residents of Dodge City, Kansas have some kind of, I don't know, have fun with this in some way
Maybe.
or something, right?
I'm
If you
curious.
have an actual phrase named after your
After your
town,
town.
how
Yeah,
cool is that?
probably, right? I wonder. But yeah, so that it did originate in Dodge City,
Okay.
Kansas,
Mhm.
in the 1870s when Dodge City was first a cow town in the
Okay.
Old West. What does that mean, a
Mhm.
cow town,
A
Lindsay?
cow town. I've actually heard people call Denver, Colorado a cow town, but
It
now
probably was a
it's a
cow
city,
town.
but I guess it means it was a base for cattle ranchers?
Yes,
Actually, I
right?
don't know.
So it
Yeah.
was a settlement. Before it
Mhm.
was a big city, it would be a settlement, so people lived there, where cowboys would bring their cattle, and then there would either be a railroad or shipyards
Yep.
that where they would send the cows to butchering markets in the East, right?
Okay.
So in Dodge City, at first it was, a smaller settlement, and then when the railroad reached Dodge City, it became a boom town. So what does that, Lindsay? What does that
We
mean, a
know
boom town?
boomtown. Yeah, so our listeners who are in our Connected Communicator course know that a boomtown is a town which has or had an economy that was booming around especially one specific product, right?
Exactly. Yes, right?
Mhm.
So it's a town that quickly grows prosperous. So for Dodge City, it was because of the cattle market. The
Mm.
railroad became a major hub for the cattle trade. And so the peak years for this was like 1883 to 1884. So
Oh, very
because of
interesting.
that boom, Dodge City became infamous, which means famous, but often for negative things, became infamous for being extremely dangerous because there were a
Oh,
lot of not only cowboys, but a lot of thieves, right? A
the
lot of those negative characters, a lot of criminals.
right.
And for some time, Dodge City was lawless. People could sort of get
Oh.
away with anything because there weren't lawmen keeping order there.
Fascinating. Okay, that piece I didn't really know. So it was a crime town, crime-ridden town, and so that's where that energy comes from. We need to get out of here,
Right.
right?
Exactly right. That's where this phrase come from. We got to get out of Dodge because it was
Yeah.
unsafe, right? All of these dangerous people were there. So it wasn't
Mhm.
really a safe place for families, for people to live. But then that changed when Wyatt Earp and William Barclay, whose nickname was Bat Masterson,
Mhm.
came, and they were lawmen who were like fearless. So they
Oh.
tried to sort of bring some law to Dodge City, and they were
Mm.
called peace officers. What does that mean, Lindsay, for someone to be called a peace officer?
Yeah, so this idea that they were representatives of the law, they were trying to restore peace in that specific town, right?
Exactly. Right. So, like a cop now, a police
Uh-huh.
officer, we wouldn't call them a peace officer because this was sort of a specific title for someone trying to bring peace to a town that was quite lawless and dangerous.
Mm.
Right.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's where this phrase "get out of Dodge" came from, but also Wyatt Earp became very famous because he was able to bring peace to Dodge City. It became a place that was safe for people to live. And then he
Mhm.
was there, as a lawman until the 1880s when the cowboy scene was kind of dying. The frontier was being settled, it was becoming more industrial.
Mhm.
And so then Wyatt Earp moved to Tombstone, where the shootout at the OK Corral happened. He was
Okay.
just trying to make his living there. I don't know
Yes.
how much the facts in the film Tombstone are accurate, but that's about the events leading up to the shootout at the OK
I'm
Corral.
gonna have to okay, maybe this is the movie I'll watch this weekend.
You
This is
should.
good. Yeah,
It's
so but it
great.
sounds like the nickname stuck though. They did make it a safer place, but it still kinda remained this idea of get out of Dodge is get out of a place that is something's wrong with the place. Is that right?
Exactly, right. So we
Mhm.
use it pretty flexibly. It might be like, I actually feel unsafe here. Let's get out of Dodge. Like you're in a dark alley. Suddenly you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we got to get out of Dodge. Like I
Yeah.
feel unsafe. But it also might be that party example where it's like, this just isn't that fun. Let's go. You might be like, we got to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Fascinating. Okay, Aubrey, we are back. And I do want to remind our listeners, guys, hit the follow button before we go any further in this episode because we're getting real background here. We want to start using native phrases, but also understanding where they come from. And this is how we do it. Okay.
Absolutely, right? The Old West is fascinating. I know a lot of people come to the States and you want to see these ghost towns, these old towns.
Yes.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I worked there for a summer, so fun.
Oh,
But it's
really?
also really
Cool.
interesting the vocabulary, the phrases that come out of this history for sure.
Interesting. What did you do in Jackson? Did you have a job at a shop or what was your
Yes.
job there?
So I moved there because a friend was living there, and the
Okay.
hotels would give you free room and board if you
Oh,
were like a housekeeper. So then we would
okay.
do that in the morning. I cleaned rooms at the 49er Inn, and then I had a job in the evening at the $1 Million Cowboy Bar gift shop. I was
Fun.
only 18, 17, so I
Yeah.
couldn't work in the actual bar. There was like a gift
Okay.
shop before you go into the bar, and I was like
Okay.
a cashier in the gift shop.
How fun.
It
Jackson Hole
was
is a
fun.
great little town. I love it. It's very cool.
So fun. Yeah, if you guys come to the States, you got to for sure go see Jackson Hole and Yellowstone National Park. It's such a beautiful
Right.
area and really fun.
All right. So what else? Okay. So this is what we're expressing here with this expression is I need to get out of this place. But are there other ways we might say this, Aubrey?
Yes, exactly. Right. We want to share a few other phrases. The
Okay.
first one is very similar, but we just remove Dodge. We'll just say, like, let's get out of here. Right. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
feel uncomfortable. Let's get out of here. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
very similar. This is definitely more common, right? Get out of
Right.
Dodge is a little more specific to certain scenarios, or you won't
Yeah.
you'll hear it, but not that often. Whereas this you'll hear all the time. Let's get out of here. Just means like
Yeah.
let's
This
go.
is more broad. It applies to
Yes.
more scenarios. Yes. This club is empty. We got to get out of here. Right.
Exactly. And then another one's interesting is vamonos, which is a
Mm-hmm.
transliteration of Spanish vamonos, which means let's go or let's leave. So we use this a lot in English. Do you use this or hear this, Lindsay? I hear it a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Vamonos, right?
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
We might say, oh, you said you wanted to leave at 8, right? Well, vamonos. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are absolutely, Spanish, French, Italian words. We've done multiple episodes on this phenomenon that we adopt certain words and
Yes.
change them around. Maybe you don't hear them in that way in in the original language, but we use them for sure.
Yes, exactly, right? There are a lot of these transliterations in English. Some of them
Mhm.
we use exactly the same as it is in French, like cul-de-sac, or Spanish, burrito, tortilla. There are so many words, we use them the same. And there are some that we either change the pronunciation of or the spelling of. And this is a transliteration. So actually, guys, be sure to hit follow because we're going to do a follow-up here on All Ears English very soon of other common transliterations.
Yeah, so fun. All right. Aubrey, what else do we
All
need
right,
to know
let's do
here?
a role play
Yes.
here. You and
Okay.
I are at a state fair for this role play.
All right, here we go.
All right, I'll start us. I'm not feeling well. I should not have ridden the Gravitron.
Uh-oh, time to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry. I know you wanted to stay longer.
No worries, vamonos.
Nice. I love it. No worries. Vamonos. Let's go.
You have to say that with energy, right? And
Right, it would be
intonation.
kind of weird to be like, vamonos.
No, you would
You have
never
to be
do
like,
that.
vamonos.
All right, so good. So you said, well, I said, I see that you're not feeling well, right? And this is not
Mhm.
even about the state fair. This is about your condition, right?
Right.
Mhm.
I look sick. And this
You
has
look sick.
happened to me. There's this ride that I mentioned here, the Gravitron, is one
Mhm.
that spins very fast in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
And so it takes away gravity and you end up like pinned against the wall and you're trying to move
Yes.
like you're on the moon, I guess, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
makes me so ill.
But
Like,
it's
I
is it after the ride that you feel ill or
after the
during the
ride.
ride? Okay, it's
Yes,
after. That's
when I get out, it
interesting.
stops spinning and I get off, I'm like, "What was I
Oh,
thinking?" It
until
makes
you're
me
messed
very
up for the rest
nauseated.
of the day or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I would have thought during the ride and then you get off, you're okay, but no.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
fine during the ride, then I
Interesting.
once I stop spinning, I'm like, "Ooh."
Oh, boy. And then what
But
did I
then
say,
you
Aubrey?
said,
Mhm.
right? I'm like, "Okay, I think we should go." You're like, "Uh-oh, time to get out of Dodge," right? So
Yeah.
you're saying you see that I'm sick, you're like, "Let's go. We gotta get out of here."
Yes, exactly, and then he said, "Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I know you wanted to stay longer." And then I said this in a very upbeat way. I said, "No worries, vámonos." So it's kind of silly, you're being kind of funny, you're having fun with the language, right, when you say that
Yes.
expression?
And
Okay.
this is interesting to think about the connection skill here because if
Mhm.
you were wanting to stay somewhere longer and your friend needs to leave for whatever
Yes.
reason, they're sick, they're injured, something happens, you can make them feel badly about that if you're like, "It's fine, I guess we can
Totally.
go." Or you can
Totally
do it in
agree.
a very upbeat, friendly way like you did here. "No worries, vámonos."
And I think that's probably the takeaway right there, Aubrey. I'm glad you pointed out the connection skill here. What is the art of saying we need to go in a way that doesn't, I don't know, bring people down,
Yes,
right?
exactly, right? Doesn't make anyone feel bad for being the reason we have to leave because we've all
Mhm.
been there. We've all been the friend who has
Yes.
come with someone else, so they're our ride and we're ready to
Mhm.
go.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
can either make us feel badly when we're like,
Yes.
"Can we go?" Or they can be like, "Yeah, no problem at all." And what a way to connect, to keep
Right.
that connection, to let them feel like, "No problem. I'm ready to go too."
Yep, that's it. And sometimes it's the choice of words, sometimes it's the intonation or both, right?
Exactly.
So good. Aubrey, what's another episode our listeners could check out?
Yes, this is the episode where Get Out of Dodge came up. It was 2418 right here on All Ears English. Don't
Mhm.
dance around this English vocabulary. And we use this phrase, get out of Dodge. And when we're talking about dodging a topic, right? Avoiding a
Mhm.
topic. So yeah,
Mhm.
be sure to check that one out as well.
I love it. Great episode today, guys. Don't forget to hit follow right here on your podcast player. And Aubrey, I'll see you back here very soon. All right.
Awesome. See you next
All
time.
right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.